Why do we have the giggles? Okay.
I don't know.
Let's do this.
Okay. Okay, all the giggles are out. All the giggles are out.
Tell them.
Giggles out. Okay. What's up, guys? Nope, I didn't. I'm sorry. That didn't feel
I'm about to
genuine to my
start.
spirit. Okay,
What's
you do
up,
it,
guys?
No,
You already know what I'm about to say. Hey.
Okay.
Hey, girls. Hey. Okay, for real. Okay. Hey, welcome back, everybody.
Welcome back.
To the Getting It Wrong podcast, where we embrace our mistakes because getting it wrong is the first step in getting it right. I'm your co-host, Morgan, and
I'm Gabby.
Okay, so we are going to hop right into who got it wrong this week.
Who got it wrong this week?
So, Gabby, let me tell you, girl. So, I have a post here. Let me read it. So, the post, it came from the Embracing Black Culture Instagram page. I love their page, by the way.
Very wholesome.
They literally embrace Black culture. It is wholesome. It's like, I don't know, it just gives me vibes. I'd rather wake up to that than all of Instagram. But anyway, so
I'd rather wake up to that than Shade Room.
Absolutely. The shade, it's like a completely different side of the internet. I just don't need that side. I need Embracing Black culture. Ooh. So, okay. So they posted someone's tweet. The person's handle is your OG at LRN Rose. I don't even know how to read handles because I don't know social media. But anyway, they said this may be controversial, but sometimes I don't want to talk about Black liberation. We are literally at someone's birthday dinner. LOL. No, that's funny though. And we reposted it on our page too. So the reason what made me repost it is because literally, like, I understand that sentiment. Like, we are at a birthday dinner. Like, if you read the whole thread on their page, it got even funnier. Well, it got funny because they were like, people trying to plan the revolution at TGI Fridays.
Like, please. I just want to eat.
Exactly. Not TGI Fridays. It said, what else am I supposed to do while I wait for my potato skins? That's a valid point. Because your food is taking all day.
True.
Oh, Lord.
But that's a really good, I'm glad you brought that up because I was just talking to one of my friends about us being bombarded with all this like Black liberation or Black trauma on social media. And it's like, it's hard to constantly consume that. Like, people need a break.
Yes, we need breaks. Like, for real. It is so overwhelming to like being woke is not where it's at.
I'm not woke. I'm asleep. I'm sorry.
No, you can't be woke all the see. That's what it is. People just woke all the time. Everybody needs rest. You can't be awake all day. You can't be awake all day. You need to take a nap sometimes. And sometimes that's what we need. We need at the family function, we're going to take a nap. So hopefully you guys got a nap over this past Thanksgiving. Hopefully nobody was like bringing it up at the table. But I feel like with every like family function like that, you get your corner of people that are going to do it anyway.
That's true.
And they're gonna go hard, and you can slip away with the other like low-key people.
Yeah,
just get a break. Yes, you could kind of slip into the other corner. That'd be me. I gotta slip into the And while it is important, like, don't get me wrong, it is important to make sure that we are all on the same page. Make sure that we all have an understanding and know like what's going on around us, because sometimes it's life or death, you know? So it's important to know these things, but to, like you said, constantly be bombarded with it, it's an overload. We need a break occasionally, and it just weighs on your spirit. Like it like it just it's too much sometimes. So
yeah.
we need
Sometimes I just keep scrolling, and I refuse to feel bad about it. I'm like, sometimes I just don't have it in me.
No, really. I feel you on that one. Like I feel the same way because I'm like, look, occasionally I need to watch something on TV, and like it's just like all of our entertainment. Have you noticed like a lot of the entertainment is like Black drama, like Black movies, like they come out with a lot, and it's just and I like, yeah, it's so many movies that came out, and I know I need to watch it, but I won't. What is it, Judas and the Black Messiah? Haven't watched it.
Won't watch
I just
it.
I can't. You're not gonna watch it at all.
No.
I have yet to watch it. Queen and Slim, I want to watch it, but I have yet to watch it.
Won't
like,
watch that either.
I can't all the time. It's so much. Like I'm holding my heart.
I'm like, if Black people are dying, I'm probably not gonna watch it. I'm sorry. Because
no, really.
It's just too much.
No,
and
really.
That's why, like, that's one of my boundaries. Like, if Black people are dying, I'm probably not gonna watch it. So
it's like, this is hitting too close to home every time. Like, yeah. I just can't. Yeah, you gotta, like you said, you gotta draw those boundaries. So hopefully that kind of gets us into the next section of it, because hopefully, you know, you guys, we just had Thanksgiving, so hopefully you guys weren't getting a lot of those like Black liberation conversations at Thanksgiving. And then it kind of brings us into our next section, because we posted this on our Instagram page or Instagram story. And then we also asked the question, what conversations are you not trying to hear at Thanksgiving? And some people answered. One of them was, I don't want to constantly be telling everybody what I'm thankful for. You know how they. And then also, like, let's get to the food, please. Like, look, everybody trying to eat. Have you guys seen that post, that video that it's like, it's circled around a few times, and basically it was this lady and the grandma, the matriarch of the family. She was praying, and she was praying for so long that somebody passed out from being hungry.
It was because he was hungry. I mean, shoot.
Oh no, it may or may not have been, but everybody has had that feeling. You're like, come on. And she was like, get up, baby. You need to stop all that smoke in your lungs. Your
lungs collapsing.
He literally passed out. I don't know if he was trying to be funny or what, but it was just too real for me. I was like, I get it. But yeah.
What was another one of them? Somebody said they don't want to be answering questions about where their little friend is at.
Girl, where your little friend? You already know.
Don't worry about it.
That one auntie.
Mind your business. Exactly. Just mind your business.
Where your little friend? Like, if I didn't bring them, do you think I want to talk about them? Like, don't ask me.
It's like, they know. They know. They just want a little drama at the family gathering.
Oh, I hate when somebody asks questions they already know. That's like my pet peeve. Don't ask me that. You know the answer. You just want to see how I respond.
And that's a great segue into our health and wellness topic for today, which is about boundaries. And this is a perfect time to talk about it, because when you are around family, your boundaries will be tested.
Yes, absolutely. But before we get into that, how was your Thanksgiving?
Oh, my Thanksgiving, it was great. I did like a little Friendsgiving the day before Thanksgiving. It was fun. And then on Thanksgiving, I mean, we just cooked. We had like a vegan Thanksgiving.
Oh, really? That's a new one.
I mean,
Completely vegan? Was your Friendsgiving was vegan or like at
no,
home?
no, at home, like on actual Thanksgiving Day when we cooked, everything was vegan. So we had like a vegan roast. We made vegan macaroni and cheese. It's actually kind of cool. Like we made cheese out of like cashews, uh, oat milk. We usually use almond milk, but we had oat
Mm-hmm.
milk this time. And vegan cheese and
Mm-hmm.
nutritional yeast, and like you just blend all that stuff together and it kind of makes like it makes the cheese, like it
No,
makes
I've
like
heard
a
that
nice
before.
consistency. Yeah, it's
I don't know if it
really
was
good.
just from you or from other people, but they do say like, oh, you said nutritional yeast and then
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
cashew cheese. I've heard
Cashews.
those make like a decent cheese. And I'm
Yeah,
like,
it's
that
actually
sounds really
really,
nice, but not for Thanksgiving. I want some.
but it's actually really good. Like people talk stuff about vegan food all the time, but that's
Yeah.
because they haven't tried it. Like if you actually tried
Mm.
it, you'd be like, this is actually really good, but nobody wants to try it, especially on
Yeah.
Thanksgiving. So
No, not on Thanksgiving. I mean, I feel like that's nice for maybe a Friendsgiving, but the day of Thanksgiving, you already know you got to bring
yeah.
the traditional Thanksgiving food. But if it was just like you and your family and everybody was on one accord, that's cool. And
Yeah.
I'll give you that because like I was the same way. I was like, girl, like I don't want to try anything imitating something else. Like I want the real deal. But
Mhm.
then you got me to try black bean burgers. So good.
And they were good.
They were good. Yeah. Because it's like with the black bean burgers, it's kind of like it's not trying to be a regular burger. It has its own flavor and taste, and it's good as it is.
Yeah, it's like its own thing. That's
Yeah,
where
it
people go
is.
wrong. It's like when you try to imitate the
Mm-hmm.
actual food, that's where it gets weird. But if you like create your own thing, like that's
Mm.
and it's good. I mean, it just is what it is. It's
Mm-hmm.
not trying to be something else.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, and we took Nia to see what's that movie Encanto? It was so good.
Mm.
So good.
Oh.
I was crying the entire time, but I mean,
Girl,
I'm like, I don't even think Nia was crying. I mean, it was it was me.
I'm weak. No, because nah, these kids are a different breed. I doubt she was crying. She was probably like, now, you'll be
She
fine.
was like laying on me, like, it's okay, mommy.
Like, don't
uh,
embarrass me. All right. Get some tissue. Chill out.
but it was so beautiful. It was about
Aw.
family. I don't want to spoil it, but if you have kids, or even if
Yeah.
you don't have kids, go see it. It was so good.
Hmm. Yeah. Somebody else said it was good. And you weren't the only person that said that they cried. Somebody else told me they cried. So unless I just know a bunch of sensitive people, um, it's probably a tearjerker. I want to see
It's
it
a great
too.
movie. Yes, please. What
It
about your Thanksgiving? Did you
was
do anything
good.
special?
No, actually, it was so I didn't go to St. Louis
Mm-hmm.
to see the family. I stayed out here
Mm-hmm.
and Zara was with her dad and his family for Thanksgiving. So I
Mm-hmm.
honestly I had somebody like invite me somewhere and I was like, please don't invite me because I would like to sleep all of the day long. And that is what I did. I was like, I'm sorry, I will not be there.
Mm-hmm. I
I really
totally understand.
that I was like, I'm not doing anything at all.
Hey,
And that is what did I even work out? I think I worked
you
out.
did. I got the notification. I was like, okay,
Oh,
girl, do your thing.
okay. But that was like it. I worked out and I came back and I already had my it sounds sad because I ended up eating like pizza or something. I had it ready to cook and I was like, I'm not cooking. I'm not
Mhm.
doing anything. And I loved it. I absolutely loved it.
It actually
So
sounds lit.
I need to do that more. I need to set my boundaries so I occasionally have that kind of time for
Yes,
myself more
ma'am.
often so we can
Yes,
get back into
ma'am.
boundaries.
All right, let's take it back to boundaries. So, the first thing I'm going to do is talk about the book that I read. I'm not going to give like a synopsis or anything, but I do want to let you guys know that the book is called Boundaries and it's by
Mhm.
Dr. Henry Cloud and
Mhm.
someone else. I apologize. I cannot remember the second author's name, but I'm pretty sure you can still find it. And when I tell you, when I read that book, I mean, it was giving information that you kind of already know, but it's like not something you keep in the forefront of your mind. If boundaries is something that you need to work on, that's something you want to keep in the forefront of your mind. And I want to talk about all the different types of boundaries we have in different types of relationships.
Okay.
So with our first one, we can talk about relationships with work. Because that's a hard one for me.
Yeah, that one is hard for me too. No, it's just, yeah, relationships with work and boundaries. I don't know. I feel like for me, like work was always something that was put as really important. Get your money, get the bag, put in the work so you can reap the benefits of it. So, like, for whatever reason, I really go hard when it comes to work. And I find myself like feeling like I'm being taken advantage of. Not like, I mean, I feel like the people I work with are cool, but like, I will put myself, like, I will just go above and beyond just because of like obligation. But if I was really like trying to take care of myself, I would set some boundaries there. Like one thing I could think of is like, for example, if like, so we work as a team and like I have a little team or whatever, and if somebody's like gone, then I'll, for example, if there's like somebody's leaving early, I'll feel bad if like the couple people that are left don't really have a lot of help, and I'll just stay a little longer, even though nobody asked me to stay longer. And I just like automatically feel like, oh, I really should. I feel bad. Like, don't nobody stay longer for me. So like, why am I going above and beyond? Like, that's a really good point. I need to like make sure I'm setting those boundaries, because the reality is like if I was setting my boundaries, I would be like, okay, this is going to negatively impact me, because after I get off work, I really, really need to make sure I'm getting Zara, make sure I'm starting our nighttime routine, because, she needs to get to bed on time. She's back at, she's in school, and it's important to what
Definitely.
I do. Like, on my own time is very important, especially having a child. So for me to be like, okay, I'm just gonna stay a little longer and nobody even asked me, like I need to get my priorities in line, clearly.
Yes. And okay, so I love that you brought that up. Because it's really all about priorities and prioritizing yourself. And before I talk about my boundaries with work, I do want to say that boundaries are basically taking control over your life. Because people with no boundaries, I feel like they kind of feel like they're out of control, if that makes sense. Like for the example that they gave in the book, there is a woman, I think her name was Cheryl, and she felt like her whole life was out of control. She felt like her child was out of control, her work life was out of control, like her marriage was out of control. But it was really about taking accountability and realizing that she didn't have boundaries in those necessary parts of her life in order to bring order and create the life that she really wanted. So for work, there was this example where she had a coworker, and anytime he needed help, he would come to her. And he'd be like, oh my gosh, you're so dependable. Like anytime I need you, like you're always there. And like she would spend like 5 hours like helping him with projects and all that stuff.
5 hours.
Yes. And like
talk
taking
about
away
work
from
husband.
and it took away from time and other parts of her life.
Yeah.
And when he would not do the same for her, he would not do the same for her.
I feel you, Cheryl. I am you. And
yes.
you are me.
And
okay,
then
even though I'm not staying that long for no man.
She just wanted it because she was so focused on like being that person, just being nice to the people around her and making sure that she was being dependable and like people could count on her. And we've talked about this before, like the difference between being nice versus being kind. We even posted that on our Instagram page as well. And I feel like you do a great job of explaining the difference between nice versus kind. So if you want to share that with us.
I don't know if it's a great job, but yes, I will do my best. Because I feel like that's something that I'm going through, like trying to transition from being nice to being kind. And I think a part of that transition has to do with setting the boundaries. So, for example, I feel like when I am staying after work, I'm being nice. It's nice. It's a nice thing I'm doing for my coworkers, but I'm doing it out of like a type of obligation. And like I feel like my intentions behind it are more about obligation than like trying to be kind. And I feel like as I transition into putting up those boundaries, then I will transition into more of like being kind, where I'm like, okay, I have the extra time for this and I see that it'll benefit you, so I can do this for you. Now I want you to be aware that this is not something that I will always do. It is something that, like it's the difference, basically. Being nice and being kind, there are different intentions behind them. And then also when you're being kind, I think a part of that, like you're setting your boundaries, and then you also have like the aspect of people can tell like when you're being genuine behind it. It's not just an obligation. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think I think we if you want to get some more information about it, definitely look at our posts because we have some more breakdowns. Hopefully, I'm explaining it okay enough for you to get it, but definitely check out that post that we made. So, yeah. What about you, Gabby? Do you feel like you are nice or kind or somewhere in between?
I feel like I'm somewhere in between. I'm definitely in transition as well. I'm transitioning from being, the nice girl, the dependable girl. Everyone can always depend on me.
Mm,
Um,
mm-hmm,
because I was always that person that even if it inconvenienced me, I would still always make sure I was there for someone else. And
mm-hmm,
in regards to work, I was always that person that stayed late. But this year, like I've been really working on my boundaries. And now my boundary
mm-hmm,
is that I have to leave by 5 o'clock because, like you said, it's like I have a child, I have routines,
mm-hmm.
like we have to get some things accomplished. And I can't do that if I'm
Yeah.
staying late. So my priority is myself and my family, not the
Mm-hmm.
job.
Yeah. I feel
And
like,
so,
yeah. I definitely agree with you on that. Like, and it's good that you're doing that. I would like to start implementing that some more for myself. So I'm definitely considering like reading that book. And then also it just makes me feel like that transition when you become a mother, there are just so many aspects and so many things that like come up that it just pushes you to grow so much. So like that
mm-hmm,
transition right there, like putting up those boundaries, and it's like you start realizing there are so many things that you have to do because it's not just about you. You have to raise a child,
mm-hmm,
and it like forces you to take better care of yourself.
yes.
It's crazy. Because if you don't, you start realizing like if I'm not taking care of myself, if I'm not putting up those boundaries, even like the basics, like if I'm not eating well, getting rest, things like that, if I'm not doing those things, it will negatively impact my child and me
Mm-hmm.
being there for my child. Like
Mm-hmm.
you have to take care of yourself. That's why like the self-care, all of that is just so important for being a parent. It's so important.
Yeah, it's all
Man,
intertwined, really.
really, it really is. That's crazy just to think about that.
And then there's so many aspects of your life where you need boundaries anyway. It's not even just work,
Hmm.
it's relationships with your family members, like your mom, sister, dad, anybody.
Hmm.
Like I had a situation where I'm so proud of myself. It was one of the big boundaries that I had to put up in order to make
Mm.
sure that I wasn't stressing myself out. I
Hmm.
had a family member who I guess they had a dental appointment and they've been trying really hard to get this dental appointment. They finally got it, but for some
Mm.
reason, like they wouldn't be able to be seen unless they had someone to drive them home from the dentist because they had to go
Oh,
under some kind of anesthesia. Um, I
okay.
didn't know this at all. Like I had a busy day planned and I was not feeling well. I had laid down to rest, probably take
Mm.
like a 20-minute nap. And that family member called me and was like, I really need your help. I have to get this dental work done, but I need you to come here so I can actually get it done, so you can give me a ride home afterwards, or they won't see me. And everything in my body was telling me like, I don't care if you don't feel well, get up, help your family member. They need you. But like that would literally ruin everything I had planned for that day, which I was already struggling to do because I wasn't feeling well. And I told that family member I would have to call them back because I did not want to give them an answer, because everything in me was telling me to be like, okay, here I come. But I was like, let me think about this, because I had read this book. So I'm going to give all grace to God in this book, because without either of those two things, I probably would have just went. But I thought about it and I was like, if I go do this, I'm going to be resentful afterwards because I don't feel good. I have so much to do. I have to do this with me. I have to do that. And it's just too much. And I had to make that decision for myself, that even because I felt like this person would hate me if I just said no. But I had to make the decision myself that no matter what the consequences are from what I'm about to say, I'm doing this for myself and my family. So I called my family member back and I told them, I'm sorry, I can't do it. I can't come up there right now. But if you give me an advance notice, maybe next time, I can do it, no problem. And I didn't die. My family member is still talking to me. And it's like, why was this so hard? Like, why was I going back and forth so long for me to just say, no, I can't do it?
No. And then one thing that you said was like key right there that hit home for me. It's like when you don't set those boundaries, you are trying to be nice to someone else, even if it negatively impacts you, you do start resenting them. Like you start like resenting people. And it's like and it's kind of crazy that you brought that up, because it's like if you start setting those boundaries, you can prevent that type of like resentment. And it's like you kind of bring it on yourself. That's what's crazy. You bring it on yourself. Like you said, Cheryl, me and Cheryl, we got to get it together.
Me too.
My coworkers, because they not staying late for me. They didn't even ask me to stay late.
They didn't. Go home.
Like, yes. Like you start resenting people when you don't, and you got to, like you said, take accountability. Make sure you are like setting up those boundaries. You know what you can and can't do, and when you tell people, they either take it or they leave it. And that, like you said, you got to set the precedent. Like they take it or leave it, but that tells you exactly what that relationship is if they leave it, you know?
Yeah. And another thing, because it's like, there's nothing wrong with giving to other people, but it's like you can't give from an empty cup. Like you have to make sure that your cup is full before you can give to anyone else. Because like you said, that's where you're draining yourself. That's when the resentment builds. And it's like, it's doing nobody any service. You're draining yourself and you're resenting other people. I like how the book references God a lot. I mean, I know a lot of the people who listen to us may not be of a certain faith or Christian, but the book does reference the Bible a lot. And it says that God says that we are responsible to people and not for people. We are only responsible for ourselves. And I took that to mean that like boundaries show where you stop and someone else begins. So instead of doing things for people all the time, you have to do for yourself, but then give afterwards, if that makes sense. So it's like other people's burdens are not yours, but sometimes people need help. And so it's like, you can't take on people's problems, but if your cup is full and you feel like you can help them, like that's okay. Because I'm not responsible for you, but I am responsible to you, and I'm willing to give a helping hand when I can. The book gives so many like metaphors that I really enjoy. It says that it shows where you end and someone else begins. And it also gave another example of how, like when you own property, there are boundaries to show where your yard ends. So when someone's out there cutting grass, they know where their yard ends and someone else begins. So they know what they are responsible for. So you need to have those boundaries so you know what you're responsible for, because a lot of us are carrying burdens that are not ours because we don't have those boundaries.
Yeah, that's crazy. That sounds like a good read.
It really is. We're definitely going to link it in our description after this, because I really want you guys to listen to it audible, read it physically. It doesn't matter. I just want you guys to, I just really want you guys to read this book, because I feel like it's helped me so much when it's come to setting boundaries with people. And it's necessary. I feel like boundaries are necessary for growth, because it's like, how do you grow?
Yeah.
How do you grow if you're constantly just giving away yourself to everyone and you're not giving enough to yourself? It's impossible to grow.
Right. You need nourishment. If you're not getting any nourishment, how will you grow? Yeah.
And also, but there are times when you need to open those boundaries, because in the book it says boundaries are used to keep the good in and the bad out. But what happens when the bad is in and the good is out? For example, I know, right? I'm so sorry, guys. I'll explain a little more. Okay. So that made me think about maybe someone with depression or someone who is going through a hard time, and you're keeping all of that bottled inside of you. Sometimes you need to open up those boundaries to let people help you.
Oh, that's a good point.
Because it's not, I don't want people to think of boundaries as like walls that you have up like for other people. Like, I think of boundaries as like a gate that you can open and close. Like there are times where you can open those boundaries. Like it's not super rigid, but you just have to have discernment.
That's a good point. Because that's like I feel like that scenario you brought up, it's a tough one, because it's like, how do you decide when you want to, it sounded like your family member was like in need, so it was like, okay, like where do I draw the line? When do I just, it's not like a situation that's like simple and easy. It's like, no, I can't do this, get someone else to do it, and then they find someone right away. No, it was, that was like a scenario where it sounded like they really needed help. So for you to decide that, I feel like, I mean, really like good for you to, draw that line there. But also I don't know, it's just like a tough one. So
it was really tough. And I think maybe in another circumstance, I would have done it. But in that particular circumstance, like with what I had going on that day and the way that I was feeling, that all played a part in why I made the decision that I made. Like if I didn't have anything planned that day really, and I was feeling okay, like I probably would have done it. No problem. But I made that decision based on how I was feeling. Because I knew if I would have done that for her while I was feeling the way I was feeling and I was already stressed out, like I would have been mad. Honestly, I would have had an attitude.
Yeah, and there's the resentment.
Exactly. Exactly. I would have been resentful about it. And with that family member, she actually rescheduled and I took her, like, no problem, at a later date. Yeah. So
there we go.
Exactly. Exactly. So I just had to make that boundary in that moment, because I knew that if I did go through with it at that time, I would have been resentful about it. And that's not something I want. I don't want to feel that way about anybody.
Right. That's it's like unhealthy.
Exactly.
I feel like everybody needs to know that. It like, because I feel like that's one of the yeah, I feel like that communication, those are types of things that really weigh on relationships. Whether it be like even your relationship with work or your relationship with family members, any type of friendship, whatever it is, I feel like that definitely weighs on those types of relationships. And then once you see, like, that's the good thing about podcasts, therapy, those type of things. Because once you get the language for things, then you start to know, like it's like the language and like the tools, they just help you so much with like mending relationships like that. So like once
Yeah.
people learn these types of things, they're like, okay, now I know what it is. And I know like I can label it and I can figure out how to change
Mm-hmm.
this. And it's, yeah. And I think that's something I'm trying to think. I feel like it was Gabrielle Union. She had like a I don't know if you saw it, but she was talking to, oh, I really want to see what this was. It was like an interview she was doing, and she was saying, like, learning that language, like going to therapy helped her learn the language to, and it helped her cope because when she was able to label those types of things, like, and label
Mm-hmm.
and pinpoint what was the problem, then
Mm-hmm.
you can start changing the problem. So,
Exactly. If you don't understand what the problem is, how can you
yeah.
fix it? If you
Yeah.
don't know what it is or understand it, it's like what it's impossible to fix.
Hmm.
You need that kind of understanding.
Yes, absolutely. And then it's like, shoot. Dang, I lost what I was gonna say altogether. Okay, whatever. I can't remember what I was about to say, but let's go ahead and take a break and we can have a word from our sponsors.
Pregnancy is one of the most vulnerable times in a woman's life. In a world full of uncertainty, Amazing Grace Ultrasound helps make things clear. Are you unsure if you're pregnant or not? Amazing Grace Ultrasound has pregnancy confirmation ultrasounds. Do you want to know the gender of your baby? You can get a gender blood test as early as 7 weeks. Are you curious about what your baby will look like? Amazing Grace Ultrasound uses state of the art technology to offer 3D, 4D, and HD ultrasound. At Amazing Grace Ultrasound, they don't just do ultrasounds, they create memories. Just look at the reviews, they speak for themselves. Go to www.amazinggraceultrasound.com to check out their packages and book your appointment today.
Okay. Okay, so we are back. And Gabby, I know you had some more about boundaries. What was your next point you were going to bring up?
Okay, I was going to bring up about boundaries in relationships and marriage because
Mm,
in the book, they spoke about how boundaries are a reflection of what you need to feel respected, loved, and to
mm,
feel safe, really. And they posed the question like, how many relationships do you think would have been saved if
mm,
people stuck to their boundaries? Not even how many relationships would have been saved, but like how many people's peace of mind would have been
mm,
saved if they stuck to their boundaries. Like if
mm,
someone said, if you, speaking of like if it was an abusive relationship, if someone set that boundary, kept that boundary of if you hit me again, I will leave.
mm,
Or if someone kept the boundary, or if you cheat on me, I will leave.
mm,
Or just like something like that. Like what you need to feel safe, respected, and loved, you have
mhm,
to stand on that.
mm,
Because if you don't stand on that, you're going to end up, like we said before, resenting your partner, being mad at yourself. But the only, but you have to take accountability for your own actions. Because if you
yeah.
don't stand on those boundaries, that's a recipe for chaos in your relationships.
Mhm. Yeah, that's a good point. And that's a tough one also.
In order to protect your peace, in order to protect your safety, sometimes the only way to keep a boundary strong is to create space.
Hmm.
So sometimes you just have to leave in order to show
Hmm.
someone that you are standing on your boundary.
Dang. That's a
It
tough
is what
one.
it is.
No, yeah, that's a good point. It's like, yeah, I just feel like that's a tough one. Like, um, yeah, I agree. Like there are, you see all the time people, um, like staying in relationships, everybody's got their friend. They say like, oh, I'm so sick of him. I'm never going back to him. And then you got to sit there after he goes back. Like, that's been me.
Yeah, me too.
I've been that friend. Like, and then you know, you got to sit there and your friend is like going back, doing it all over again. And you're like, girl. And all you can do is sit back because while you want to support your friend, you also don't want to. You want to support them, but you also like sometimes you have to set your boundary in that friendship and be like, don't tell me about it anymore. Because the last time you told me you weren't going back, you did it anyway. You know, so
right, getting me all riled up.
Right.
Like, let's go.
Tires. And now talk about that show, man. And now he mad at me because I was rolling with you slashing tires. Nah. I'm just playing.
I'm just playing about the slashing tires part.
Yes.
Just in case the feds are listening. But
somebody just found me out. I was just playing. I've never slashed tires.
Right. We don't do that over here. We're a little bit more strategic. But yeah, sometimes you have to create space in order to set that boundary. But remember, boundaries are not a wall, they're a gate. So, because I feel like when people get into the creating space aspect, some people can go too far and just like block people off.
Oh yeah. It ain't nothing to cut that off.
There's so many songs about it.
So many memes. Like, everybody's like, I just cut them off. I cut them off. And that's, that's burning bridges. That's a thing. Like, that's the thing about, like, you burn bridges and it's like, oh, what if all you had to do was put up boundaries? And what if they're going to accept them? You just like you said, that family member, you were like, I'm not coming. You either take it or leave it. And they're cool with it. So it's going to put up boundaries. And then they more than likely, I mean, a lot of times, sometimes they roll with it. So
yeah,
just cutting people off.
Yeah, that's I feel like creating space is more for when it's like more serious. Like if it's like if it's more like a serious offense.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay. That's a good point. You're
so
like, wait.
No, I was just gonna get into I was gonna talk about some takeaways we can take from this episode.
Okay.
So I think one of them is just to remember that we are not responsible for other people, or you're responsible to other people. You have to know where you end and someone else begins. We cannot take on people's problems. I said it so well earlier. I wish I could remember exactly what I said. I said something along the lines of like, we are taking on so many people's problems, so many people's issues that are not our own because we didn't put up those boundaries. Close enough.
Yeah.
And number 2, create space if needed, but remember that boundaries are not a wall. We don't have to cut people off.
Unless we do.
Unless you need to. Unless you need to. And number 3, I'm not sure if I made this clear before, but it's okay to just say no. It's okay to say no.
It's okay. We can do it, guys.
We can do it.
I feel like it's like it brings physical like strain to be
and
like
anxiety.
No.
Yes. Because for some reason it makes you feel like, because in my situation, I really felt like this person was going to be so mad.
Yes, that's crazy.
Like hate me. But she was just like, okay. She kind of had an attitude, but but I mean, we're still cool. Like,
right.
It didn't cause any big scene, big strife or anything. It was literally just, I can't do it. Maybe another time. And she was just like, okay. And we did it another time.
And it was okay.
And it was okay. It's okay to say no.
See, that's the thing about me. I'm about to get extreme. I'm gonna be like, I said
no. No, but I do feel like it's a part of it, because when I first started practicing my boundaries, I might have been taking it a little bit too far, but I
Oh,
feel like
snap.
you have to, it's like you're already at one extreme and you kind of go to like the other extreme and then you kind of like find balance.
Yeah, you gotta kind of settle in. It's
Yeah.
okay. Okay, I'm about to be now. If I start tripping with you, now you know why.
Right. Okay. Like, okay. She's working through it.
Exactly. About to be cutting up, and I'm gonna cut up with Zara too.
Oh, another thing it was talking about was having boundaries with your children.
Mm, that's a good
Because
one.
yes, because Cheryl, the girl in the book, I hope I'm saying her name right, but her
What's she gonna
child was
say? She's not.
clowning. You're right.
Oh,
That's probably not even her real name, but her child was clowning, and the
mm,
teacher was like, anything that if we tell your child to do anything, they get so upset.
mm.
And the mom was like, well, maybe, it's kind of like ADHD or, and
Dang.
and the teacher was like, no, yeah, I mean, your child pays attention. They just don't like listening.
She was trying to get medicine. Cheryl, I see right through you. What? She was like, maybe we can go ahead and head straight to medication. Like, girl, discipline your child.
Basically. And it's just like, your child doesn't like being told no. And we just want
Oh,
to see if you're
Lord.
having that problem at home as well.
Oh,
And it
wow.
turns out that they were having the same problem at home. She didn't like to tell her child no at home. And yeah,
Girl.
because she's just like, I don't want to stifle their, I don't want to stifle their ability to speak up for themselves but I'm
Mm,
like, I can understand where people come from with
yeah.
that, but like you said, like we said, boundaries. Like
Mm-hmm.
they can be themselves inside these boundaries that you set.
Mm. Okay. Yeah, that's a great point. And that, like, I also, like you said, I understand where she's coming from. It's like you kind of have to find that middle ground, especially,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, especially like in the Black culture, we came from like very strict, like, our upbringing
Mm-hmm.
is very strict and like when you compare it to like other cultures.
Mm-hmm.
So with us, it's like because I said so. Don't ask me why,
Mm-hmm.
and you're like, as millennial parents, we're trying to figure out like a middle ground somewhere. So I can
Mm-hmm.
understand where she's like, I'm trying to figure it out, like where do I stop and not stifle? But I think she took it too far.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
For sure. But
Because
it's
my
like,
like you always say no. And I'm like, I sure do. No, I don't. But like,
I mean,
they're
sometimes you do have to say no. Sometimes you
yeah.
do. And I want Nia to be able to say no. I want her to be able to have strong
Mm.
boundaries because I know growing
Hmm.
up as we did with such strict culture and not being able to ask questions, like
Mm.
we didn't grow up with really strong boundaries. And I want her to
Mm.
know that it's okay. It's okay to question. It's okay to say you
Yeah.
don't want to do something, but within boundaries. It's like sometimes you have to do things like you have to get in the bathtub because you are dirty. You have to, put your plate in the sink when you're finished eating, like certain
Hmm.
things like that, like you have to do. But sometimes she puts up a good reason on like why she shouldn't have to do something. And I'm like, wow, that actually makes a lot of sense. So I guess I'll let it slide.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, okay. Sometimes they try you. I think it was one time, like Zara, I was working from home and she was on her tablet and I told her she needed to do just worksheets for a little while. And she does her worksheets for a couple hours. She comes back and she's like, Mommy, I need to listen to my heart. And my heart is telling me to get the tablet. I was like, girl, if you don't find something to do. I'm like, these kids, they will try it, but
They
yeah,
will.
boundaries. Go get back on the worksheets. No
All right,
tablet.
finish up. Like once you finish your worksheets, then you can get the tablet. Your heart is going to have to wait.
Exactly. Your heart. Like you can listen, but I'm not listening until you finish them worksheets, girl. Mm-mm-mm. But
But
yeah.
I think that wraps up all that we have for boundaries today.
Hmm.
You guys can reach us at gettingitwrongpod@gmail.com. If you have any questions, reach out to us on there. If you have any suggestions or something you might want to hear us talk about on the podcast, you can reach us there as well. Please follow us on IG at Getting It Wrong Pod, Twitter _Getting It Wrong. What else do we have?
We said Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You said Instagram?
I did say Instagram.
I think you got them all.
Okay. Well, YouTube as well. Subscribe, follow, comment. Engage with us. We'll talk back. I promise.
We will.
We will.
Give us questions.
Right. But it's getting late, guys. So we'll talk to you next time.
Bye.
Bye.